They smile at you. They helped you. They were always there, always generous, always warm, always kind. And you trusted them. You let them in. You believed what you saw. That was your first mistake. Because Laozi, the ancient Chinese philosopher who wrote the Tao Te Ching over 2,000 years ago, understood something about human nature that most people spend their entire lives learning the hard way. He understood that the loudest kindness is often the most dangerous, that the people who perform goodness the most visibly are frequently the ones who have the least of it inside. And if you have ever been betrayed by someone you thought was kind, if you have ever watched a person who claimed to love you quietly destroy you, then what you are about to hear is not philosophy. It is your own life, finally being explained. Here is the truth that no one wants to say out loud. Real kindness does not announce itself. Real generosity does not need an audience. Real love does not keep a record. But the people who pretend to be kind, they need you to see it. They need you to remember it. They need you to owe them for it. Laozi wrote that the highest good is like water. Water nourishes everything without trying to. It does not ask for recognition. It does not demand gratitude. It simply flows, quietly, naturally, without performance. And then he said something devastating. He said that when goodness is lost, it is replaced by virtue. When virtue is lost, it is replaced by morality. And when morality is lost, it is replaced by ritual. Think about that. When true goodness disappears from a person, they don't suddenly become visibly evil. No, they start performing. They start ritualizing. They start wearing kindness like a costume because they no longer carry it in their heart. That is the person who buys you dinner, but never forgets what it cost them. That is the friend who listens to your problems only to use them as currency later. That is the colleague who helps you with a smile and then mentions it every time they need something in return. You thought they were kind. What they were was strategic, and here's where it gets darker. Because these people are not always aware of what they are doing. Some of them genuinely believe they are good. They have told themselves the story so many times that they cannot see the manipulation anymore. They have convinced themselves that their performance is their personality. And that makes them not just dangerous. It makes them nearly impossible to escape. Because when you try to hold them accountable, they will collapse into the version of themselves that everyone else believes in. They will cry. They will remind you of every sacrifice. They will pull out the record they were never supposed to be keeping. And suddenly, you are the villain for questioning the kindness they were so loudly offering. Laozi saw this pattern. He wrote that those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know. Translated into modern life, this means watch the person who is always telling you how kind they are, how much they have done, how much they care. Because the people who are truly those things never feel the need to say it. Their actions leave no room for doubt. Their presence needs no announcement. But why? Why do some people weaponize kindness? Why do they turn warmth into a tool of control? Because underneath the performance, there is fear. There is a deep, aching need to be needed, a terror of being seen as ordinary, as replaceable, as unimportant. The kind performance is not about you. It was never about you. It is about them managing the distance between who they are and who they need you to believe they are. They give to you so that you cannot leave. They help you so that you become dependent. They show up for you in your worst moments. Not entirely out of love, but out of the knowledge that people who rescue you own a piece of you. And some part of them knows this. Some part of them is calculating the return on every kind investment they make. Laozi wrote that the sage does not accumulate. The more he gives to others, the more he has. But the fake kind person is the opposite. They accumulate silently. Every favor is a debt. Every smile is a loan. And one day, when they need control, when they feel threatened, when they want something from you, they will collect. And when they collect, it will not look like cruelty. That is what makes it so hard to name. It will look like disappointment. It will look like hurt. They will not say, "I want you to do this." They will say, "After everything I have done for you." They will not threaten. They will guilt. They will not demand. They will withdraw. Just long enough for you to panic. Just long enough for you to come crawling back, promising to be better. This is not kindness. This is architecture. This is a carefully built structure designed to keep you inside and keep them in control. And the most painful part? You probably loved them. You probably still do. Because they were kind. Or they seemed to be. And the memory of that kindness is the most powerful chain of all. So how do you see through it? How do you protect yourself from a person whose weapon is a smile? Laozi offers a way. He said, look at the roots, not the flowers. Anyone can grow beautiful flowers when the weather is good, when there is no cost, when everyone is watching. But roots are what hold when the storm comes. Real kindness holds during a storm. Real generosity does not disappear when it becomes inconvenient. Real love does not evaporate when you stop being useful. Watch what people do when there is nothing to gain. Watch how they treat you when no one is looking. Watch what happens the moment you need something that genuinely costs them. Not money, but time, or ego, or comfort. That is when the performance slips. That is when you see the roots. And if the roots are not there, if the kindness only exists when it serves them, then what you have been calling a relationship is not a relationship. It is a transaction. And in that transaction, you were never the priority. You were the asset. Laozi also warned about the danger of appearing without being. He understood that in a world obsessed with image, the most dangerous people are not the obvious villains. They are the ones who have mastered the look of virtue while hollowing it out from the inside. They walk through life collecting admiration, collecting loyalty, collecting people, while giving nothing real in return. And the tragedy is that the world will defend them, because the world only sees the performance. The world sees the birthday posts, the public gestures, the carefully timed acts of charity. The world does not see what happens behind closed doors when the audience is gone and you are alone with the person who has been performing kindness at you for years. You have always known. And the reason you doubted yourself, the reason you stayed silent, the reason you kept forgiving, is because their kindness was real enough to keep you confused. That is the genius of the performance. It is never entirely fake. It just always serves a purpose that has nothing to do with your well-being. So here is the final truth, the one that Laozi lived by and died knowing. You cannot force a person to be genuine. You cannot love someone into authenticity. You cannot be kind enough, patient enough, or understanding enough to transform a person who has chosen performance over truth. Some people have been their costume for so long that they have forgotten there is a person underneath. And waiting for them to change is not loyalty. It is the slow surrender of yourself. The Tao, the way that Laozi followed, is not about fighting these people or exposing them or destroying them. It is about something far more powerful. It is about becoming so grounded in your own authenticity that manipulation finds no place to land. It is about valuing silence over applause, depth over display, and real over impressive. Because the greatest act of wisdom you will ever perform in your life is learning to walk away from beautiful performances and toward ugly, inconvenient, uncomfortable truth. The fake kind will always find a new audience. That is not your problem. Your only problem, and your only freedom, is this. Stop performing for people who are only performing for you. Be still, be real, and let the water teach you. It nourishes everything without trying to. It never needs you to notice. It was never waiting for your applause. That is kindness. Everything else is just theater.